Break open those bottles of champagne, folks. The OHS Lumity has made it safely out of the harbor. Fair winds to you two lovebirds. This latest episode, Knock Knock Knocking on Hootie's Door, was an absolutely amazing episode in so many ways. And while I really want to dive into this episode alone and analyze it, I made y'all a promise that I would analyze the strengths and merits of the relationship between Luz and Amity. So strap on your scuba gear, because this is going to be a deep dive. The Owl House ship, Lumity, is the best and healthiest lesbian relationship I have seen portrayed in Western animation, and I firmly believe that writers need to take note and follow the example of how the Owl House handles the LGBTQ characters in its cast. I say this because we writers have a heavy responsibility on our shoulders. Hopefully, I can show fans of the Owl House just how good the dynamic and relationship between Luz and Amity really is, which, though, let's be honest, most of you already know that already, and explain as well the significance of this particular relationship in our current literature. Hi there, everyone. Lars here from Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. Now, before I launch into this analysis of the OHS Lumity, I want to address something very important that all authors and creators should consider. What we write and create has an impact on our audience. We have the capacity to do a lot of good or a lot of harm, especially among younger and more impressionable audiences. This is especially applicable when it comes to addressing the LGBTQ community. When we create diverse relationships, how we build them and portray them does matter. What we write matters because it will have an impact and influence on others. Please allow me to pull back the curtains of ambiguity on this subject. I am a full-time teacher, and I've had the privilege of teaching many gay, lesbian, non-binary, and trans students. During my tenure, I have also seen many of them struggle with romance. They just want to be appreciated. They want to be loved, which, as a result, has led many of them to jump into relationships with anyone who seems to be giving them just a smidgen of that. And in turn, they lock themselves into toxic and abusive relationships. The most heartbreaking thing? Hearing them tell me that this is what they deserve. No! You are a person. You are a human being. You deserve to be happy and healthily loved. To everyone watching this video, do not undersell yourselves. No matter what, you are worth so much more. But this goes far beyond high school alone. I have many people in my adult life who are part of the LGBTQ community, and I know many of them who have suffered long-term consequences of bad relationships they got into back in high school and college. This is a legitimate issue, and the stories that we consume absolutely play a role into what has happened. Just think about this for a moment. There are so many stories out there that sell the simple but destructive idea that if two or more people of the alphabet community are together, then hey, it will all work out. No problem. Oh, this person lashes out because no one understood their sexual orientation? Well, guess what? I do. And this means that we'll get along and you'll stop being so mad and then we'll fall madly in love with each other and we'll be together forever. Oh, you're a broken person within the LGBTQ community? Well, so am I. And if we get together, we will heal each other and we will be perfectly happy. No! None of this is okay. It is vain wish fulfillment. It is just as bad for straight relationships as it is for any relationship within the alphabet community. A label does not remove the toxicity, and we writers and creators need to stop pretending otherwise. This is not to say that there shouldn't be portrayals of these toxic relationships within fiction. I personally feel that they are important, but even more important is telling our audiences that they are unhealthy and toxic, and then show what makes a good and healthy relationship. That is how we can communicate to the young and impressionable that they do matter, that real love is out there, and how to tell the difference between someone who cares and someone who is just taking advantage of you. And this is why I want to publicly give a tip of the hat to Dana Terrance and her staff working on the Owl House. You have created a story that has genuinely and competently set up and executes a healthy lesbian relationship between Luz and Amity. And here is where I wanted to start breaking down and analyzing why their relationship works so well. To do that, I'm going to focus specifically on 3 elements that built up Lumity: the girls' personalities, their romantic progress, and timing. So, to set the stage, by the middle of the first season, the writing was already on the wall that the story was gearing up to pair off Luz and Amity. And I'll be honest, I rolled my eyes at this and I was a little bit upset because I did not like this idea of the bully getting redeemed through romance. It's always cringy, and its real-life counterpart, whether straight or not, never works out well. I fear that the Owl House might go the same way of so many angsty Wattpad stories that I've read and come across that just go crashing down and burn. And I really didn't want to see that with this show. And this is where I was pleasantly surprised. Amity is redeemed from her bully status, but not because Luz loves her, or because Amity harbors a deep-seated crush on Luz since their first or second meeting. No, instead, Amity finds redemption through overcoming her prejudices towards a human and an outsider like Luz. So I'd like to take a moment and focus on Amity here. We learn through various episodes how introspective Amity is, and how it's eaten her up to know how easily she made the transition from being Willow's friend to Willow's tormentor. Amity, of her own volition, decided to give Luz a chance to prove that she wasn't an annoying busybody out to repay her for all the bullying she's done in the past. It was Amity who was curious about what a human could really achieve with magic, and was humble enough to admit that she was wrong. And it was Amity's own love of Azura that gave her and Luz some common ground to stand on. All of this is to say that Amity is thankfully a complex character, whose family situation, personal aspirations, personal qualities, and personal experiences make up who she is. To be frank, Amity's personality is not lesbian. That's just a part of who she is. And the Owl House makes it clear as the series progresses that Amity is a very real individual, filled with her own fears, regrets, passions, interests, dreams, kindness, anger, etc. True, we get to see this because of her interactions with Luz, but they don't exist because of Luz, which is very important. Amity is her own person, undergoing her own arc within the series from bully to hero. So, because I focus now so much on Amity, let's be fair and give a gander at Luz. Luz's character arc has been a fun one to watch unfold. She is an awkward outcast trying to not only find her place within the wide multiverse, but also become a hero in her own right. Luz is a quirky, nerdy, funnily enough self-aware young teen with a metric ton of talent, especially talent for art. Despite having a very ADHD-type personality, she is incredibly hardworking and studious. As someone who desperately wants friends and looks to her fictional hero for inspiration, authors have incredible influence on their audiences. Use that power wisely. Luz is more than happy to strike up a conversation and a friendship with anyone who will give her the time of day. She quickly makes good friends with Willow and Gus, not to mention Ida and King before them, which means that despite a very antagonistic beginning with Amity, Luz is willing to bridge that gap if the opportunity allows. Luz's sense of decency and fairness help her to show Amity that she's not just learning magic to one-up others. She wants to be the best witch that she can and be true to herself. Though Season 2 is telling us that there's still a lot more for her to uncover on this front, which is pretty awesome. I love seeing that. Luz is her own fun, complex character, far more than any label. This is one reason why their relationship is so good. It established how unique and individualistic they both are before any serious crush or romance is even teased out between them. Furthermore, Amity's redemption arc begins before we see any clear indicators that she is developing feelings for Luz. This removes the very problematic and cringy setup of the queer bully being redeemed because another queer character loves them. Once again, this whole idea of trying to redeem a bully through love, while it sounds wonderfully romantic, is extremely cringy, extremely problematic, and inspires, I have seen this multiple times, inspires horrible decisions in real life. So, moving on from that, what about the romance itself? What about the progress that these two characters go through within their relationship? The Owl House dishes out a humorous dance of unspoken attraction, misunderstandings, and sweet setups. It all starts in episode 3, I Was a Teenage Abomination. Amity comes rolling in all high and mighty, clearly the dominant A student, and has solidified her strong position in school through her brilliance, connections, heritage, strength of personality, and her looks. The girl's got all of that going for her. Luz only really becomes the object of Amity's ire because Luz makes Amity look like a fool in her abomination class, and that animosity and prejudice are countered in Convention, where Luz shows that she is capable of doing magic, but that she's only trying to be the best witch that she can. There is no reason then for her and Amity to be enemies. This quick shift from enemies to mutual standoffishness counters stuff that we've seen in other shows like Gravity Falls, where Dipper's rivalries with Gideon and Robbie extend for a full season and then some before they make any change in their antagonistic relationships. As I said earlier, the episode Lost in Language reveals how introspective Amity is. Luz did not mean to see those personal thoughts come to life, but hearing them helped her realize for herself that there is more to Amity. Sure, Amity puts on a front, but there is much more to this witch, and they share a lot in common. Making up at the end of the episode and parting on mutual terms meant that their next episode together would not be one mired in antagonism. And that takes us to Adventures in the Elements, which shows almost something more akin to a friendly rivalry now developing between Luz and Amity. Both are supporting the other in learning more about magic and preparing to one day get their own staffs. Luz obviously doesn't want to look bad in front of Amity, with whom she has finally obtained some hard-fought understanding. So working together with her, she's able to save Ida, Imra, and Edric. And so this then truly solidifies Luz and Amity's friendship and shows that they are able to work very well together, which, as I'm going to bring up again, is very, very important in any good relationship that you write. When at school, Amity is openly friendly towards Luz, and their adventures together really get underway when they must work together to save Willow's memories from Amity's unadvised acts of arson. And this is why lighters are not allowed on public school campuses, folks. This is, though, where we get real confirmation of growing feelings on Amity's part. Feelings that she wants to explore in the episode Enchanting Gromfight. Luz, however, is a little too dense when it comes to other people's feelings and misses all the obvious hints. But she is adamant about helping her new friend out on Grom Night, so much so that she steps in to fight Grom itself. This confrontation is the legit moment that I'd say is where Amity falls for Luz, where the crush really begins. And that crush is on full display in Wing It Like Witches, where Amity steps up to help Luz, Willow, and Gus to confront their bullies and make things right between herself and them. Plus, she's going all gaga over the thought of seeing Luz sweaty in a tight uniform. And I just want to pump the brakes here for a moment and tell you all some dating advice that you can take to the bank. If you have a crush on someone, thinking they're super attractive, take them to play mud football. No, seriously, I mean it. Take your crush to play mud football. If they agree to play, you can already count on them being cool. And if they come out of the mud still looking fine, you found yourself a firecracker. If you don't like the way that they come out of the mud after playing, then you should stop pursuing them and ask yourself some hard questions about why you're trying to date them. There, go and cash that advice at the bank and let's continue. Here's the thing, I've been retracing all of these steps towards the romance from season 1 to show you something. This relationship has been a long time in the making. Both Luz and Amity grew from enemies to rivals, to friends, to crush in a series of events that are traceable and build up their characters, and most importantly, they make sense. Or at least as much as anything makes sense on the Boiling Isles. This right here is what you want in any good relationship. Progress. While love at first sight is fun and romantic, a relationship that's built up over time with many memorable moments is powerful and sticks with the audience long after they're done with the story. And in the case of Amity, it highlights her redemption arc. And for Luz, this gives her plenty of time to discover more about herself as both a witch and as a person. Now we get into season 2, and things have progressed quickly between Amity and Luz. Escaping Expulsion was a great episode that literally beats the message into Luz that Amity likes her. And I mean, it's hard to miss this bit.
Stay away from my loot!
This further underlines the strong dynamic and teamwork between them that was highlighted back on Grom Night. This is something that, as I said earlier, is very important for a strong and healthy relationship. And if you want more details about what this could be like, showing strong teamwork, a strong dynamic, then please go check out my analysis video of the Deltarune ship Cruzy, or you can also go check out the episode that we did as a whole harem over at our podcast, where we discussed the 10 rules of shipping, where we dived really deep into compatibility, teamwork, a strong dynamic, how all of these must come together to craft a strong romance. So, I'll leave links for those in the description. Luz quickly reciprocates Amity's feelings after this episode and really wants to spend more time with her. And finally, we got the big kiss in Through the Looking Glass Ruins. But that was just the culmination of all the groundwork laid long beforehand. And the episode is chock full of amazing moments between the two of them, especially this bit here where Luz invites Amity to check out Earth with her. But quickly after that kiss and Amity's soft confession, we get knock knock knocking on Hootie's door, where Luz and Amity ask each other out. Ah, that love tunnel. Would this have been the confession that we would have gotten if Dipper and Wendy went down the tunnel together? We'll never know, but hey, Mabel got Waddles, we got that lovable pig, so all is right in the universe. The confession at the end of the episode is awesome. Again, even though it's on the Boiling Isles and so much insanity happened in this episode, the awkwardness, the anticipation, soft caresses of the finger, the dialogue, all of it was just spot on. Seriously, all of this was phenomenal progression of the characters and their feelings. And yeah, I know I've left out a lot because if I were to do a blow-by-blow of their relationship progressing, we would be here for a whole season. So, the characters have been done very well, and the progression of their romance is well executed. All that is then left for me to address is the timing. Luz and Amity are a couple now, with plenty of Season 2 ahead, and all of Season 3 to go. I brought this up in my review of The Dragon Prince, that there's a lot of potential in getting your couples together sooner rather than later. This means that there is plenty of time to see how they act as a couple, and proves whether all that waiting and work was worth it. And if done well, it takes their relationship then to the next level. Too many writers and people in real life think that once you've achieved dating status, that the worst is behind you. They just stop there and pat themselves on the back for a job well done. But no, this is where the real work begins. This is where you can make a romance truly memorable and unique. And Lumity is a romance that deserves both. The timing is right because Dana Terrance did not wait too long to pull that trigger. She now has plenty of time to develop both girls within a couple's dynamic. So we can now ask questions like, how will they rely on each other going forward? How will they fare when they are apart? How honest will they be with each other? What more will they learn about each other? These questions and many more are important to consider when moving forward with any relationship. And again, I stress that the Owl House has left itself with plenty of time to explore where their relationship goes from here. If you can't build on the relationship, though, from this point, it will turn stale and lose a lot of its meaning and relevance to the overall story. A good example for comparison is The Wheel of Time. The main character, Rand, ends up with 3 girls. Yes, count them 3. Min, Aviendha, and Elaine. Min gets the most time with Rand, and as such, most fans of The Wheel of Time like Min more than the other 2 girls. I personally love Aviendha's strong personality and culture, but she just doesn't get enough time with Rand. And Elaine is awful, so I'm happy that she gets next to no time with the guy. But the differences really show. Rand and Min are like a married couple halfway through the series, only getting better as each book goes, while Elaine and Aviendha kind of get relegated to sloppy leftovers. Eventually, I'll have to do an analysis of The Wheel of Time and its take on harems. But moving back onto Lumity, the Owl House so far is doing everything right. The characters are strong individuals with powerful personalities who are not characterized solely by who they like. The progression of their romance is strong, well plotted, and it makes sense. And the timing for all the different elements coming together was spot on. I'm really looking forward to where these girls go next. Like I said, this is a wonderful, healthy LGBTQ relationship, which competently shows what makes a good couple and treats its characters with respect and clearly communicates to the audience how healthy and wholesome this romance is. 5 out of 5 stars. Definitely would recommend to a friend. Lumity is the gold standard that I will look to in the future when recommending an LGBTQ romance to my friends. Overall, the Owl House is killing it. And knock, knock, knocking on Hootie's door. Man, that is so freaking catchy. Was a phenomenal episode. If you'd like to hear my unbridled praise and review for everything that happened in that episode, please sound off in the comments. And if you enjoyed this analysis, please drop a like and a comment. If you want more Owl House goodness, please subscribe, because there's plenty more on the way. And to all our fellow writers out there, please remember that the stories that we create do have power and influence. Let's use that power to deliver meaningful stories that don't just entertain our readers, but maybe give them something to better their lives. If you'd like more advice on how to better your stories, please check out our podcast, Camille's Harem, found on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, the works. We have writing exercises on our Pinterest page, and we would love to have you join our community at our subreddit and our Discord. Links for all those sites are in the description. And until the next video, y'all, fair winds carry your sails, Lumity, and tschüss.